change it. Yo, what's happening, everybody? Welcome to Colorcast number 38 here in Tube Studios. I'm here with my buddy Nile.
What's good?
NilexNile.
How you doing?
We're in a new digs, so if anyone out there is listening, let us know if you can hear us and see us just fine. If you got problems, just type it in the chat so we can see it. But dude, I'm super pumped to have this conversation. It's been like 2 years since I've done this podcast, something like that. So happy to be bringing it back, just in time for a show we got coming up on Saturday at Company Brewing. I know a little bit about you. We've been palling around, playing the same shows and stuff for a couple of years now. But I was thinking, like, earlier today, I was like, I don't really know your whole story. You kind of just showed up on the scene. Everyone's like, Nile, check out this guy Nile, check out this guy Nile. Man. But I don't know really who you are or where you came from, man. Do you mind giving me a little skinny?
Yeah, for sure. So from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, north side preferably. I've been over a lot of spots in the city, but I know that, the north side is really where a lot of my upbringing, kind of resided. I went to high school, the arts in the high school and stuff. So pretty much I kind of, I kind of was just like already kind of persistent about wanting to do music, but, I was in good company. There was a lot of different people that was there who had things going for themselves that wanted to actually push the envelope and actually make something with themselves outside of just high school. And, it's pretty much, I'm just this ambitious, like, Northside kid, you know what I'm saying? Somebody who's very introvert, who, in a sense, is kind of still an introvert, but more to be an extrovert these days because got to promote music and, be more active and, involved with the community, right? So
Yeah, that's the struggle with a lot of artists, I think, is it takes a lot of introspection and time alone and those moments and the flow and especially, at least for me, speaking from my own perspective. But from my understanding, sometimes that silent space of just yourself is the space to really dig inside. And that's, I think that's the artist's role, is to take what's inside and filter it out with the messages that is unique to that person's self and that can reflect the culture and the people around you and give people some meaning and purpose and stuff like that. So that's cool. But so you're in Milwaukee, born and raised then?
Yes, sir. North side.
Right. High School of the Arts. Yeah, I know a lot of great musicians that super dedicated musicians and artists that go on to do amazing things that come out of that high school. It's a pretty special place, it seems like.
It's a really dope spot. I think, in all the walks of life, really, not trying to like downplay arts or anything, but in all walks of life, no matter what school you went to, as long as you took the idea of what you were trying to do very serious and really, went for what you wanted to do, it starts there. But other than that, the arts, like I said, I was in good company, had a lot of really dope artist friends, from musicians to like, people who are visual artists, people who were doing like, what I was doing, creative writing and, singing. And I just know a lot of different people for a lot of different reasons throughout the Milwaukee community.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. So I know that Callan Classic went. I know Abby Jean went. Mm-hmm. I'm sure there's a few more. I know my buddy Ray growing up, his sister went there. That was the first time I heard of it because I went to public high school in North Shore, Nicolay, and I remember someone saying, "Oh, High School of the Arts." I'd be like, "A high school for the arts?" Mm-hmm. It's like, "Oh my god, that sounds amazing."
Yeah, there's like, again, not even just like, again, the artists, but the people who play live instruments, like I believe his name is John Horton. I could be wrong. I could be Sean Horton. I'm sorry, not John. Sean.
It's the
Horton.
Same name.
Yeah, no.
It is. If you go back in time.
But
same with Ian. Same with John. Sean is just the Irish version of John, and Seamus is just the Irish version of Jameis.
Yeah.
Jameson, Seamus. It's the same word.
You putting me on the new information, man. No, it's all good. I get it. No, but Sean Horton, he played as the guitarist for Mary J. Blige when she was on tour. Yeah, she was really dope. I got a really dope friend. Huge. His name's LJ Thompson. He played, or his artist name is like LJ on the drums. He played for Drum when he was on the Kendrick Lamar Damn tour, and I believe like 2019 or something like that, 2018. Yeah, I mean, well, I could be wrong. I could be paraphrasing. I think it was like 2017, 2018. But yeah, I got a lot of dope friends, a lot of people who kind of were like really like ambitious and doing what they wanted to do and what they were destined to do. So, just being around people like that and building those relationships is like you just really are able to meet a lot of people on different walks of life, but like some people having a lot of the same paths of where they're going as far as end goal, trying to be successful and also trying to do for the community. So yeah, the Arts was a really dope spot for like artists brewing, and also my rap group. Majority of my rap group is pretty much from Arts, other than like me meeting them outside of like this school. But yeah,
that's Fat Nerd Records, right?
Yes, sir.
Nice. Where does that name come from?
Well, that
I can take a guess.
I mean, go ahead if you want to take a guess.
It's for a bunch of fat nerds.
Nah. No, but so I came up with the idea, the name years ago. My mom used to play like a lot of. Her and my dad used to play a lot of like oldies, like back in the day, like artists, like you ever heard of the Fat Boys?
No.
So the Fat Boys pretty much was this group that were like beatboxing and rapping and stuff like coming up in their like time.
Was that PH Fat or?
Yep, PH Fat. And
okay.
I don't know if you were really with the terms or whatever back then, but like
I know PH Fat. Yeah, that's old. That's old.
Well, like so then that fat meant dope.
I know. Yeah.
Yeah, and it meant big. So, the reason why Fat Nerds is spelled PHAT,
right? PH Fat
is because I'm thinking the big nerds, the fat nerds. Like I feel like I always envisioned me and my group to always be bigger than the things that was going on around us, because a lot of times you was hearing about a lot of I mean at the time I ain't gonna lie, kind of got a little worse these days, like in the last maybe like 10 years. But when I was young and I was like a jit and kind of just in like middle school and kind of just growing up, it wasn't as bad of like kids getting kidnapped and left and right, and you know what I'm saying, it wasn't too much of that on the news all the time. So yeah, man, that I bring that up to say pretty much like younger, that's basically what we were into, and that's how the name came about, because I was with a group of kids who were like all nerds. We all like anime and video games and shit like that. And I didn't mean to cuss him. I'm able to cuss her.
Yeah, it's the internet.
Okay, yeah, well, it's
just
like
don't
video
say
games
just
stuff.
don't say anything about certain groups of people.
Oh
right?
no, for sure, I'm not like that. Yeah, no, we definitely taking it one step at a time. But long story short,
see what we can get away with.
We just kind of came up like that. That's how I kind of came up with the name, and I ended up meeting people along my walk of like wanting to really do this seriously. And these amazing people are here today, and we are working hard for a good outcome for Milwaukee's music.
Dude, that's such a good point, man. Because I just think of similarities in my own life. I also am a huge nerd, so I appreciate that. I grew up programming, and I had people around me. Not just nerds, but one of my closest friends. Me and him pushed each other to be better programmers, to learn more about the depths of the internet, and going and finding bizarre animes and old like Spawn and stuff. Just love like all the old like crazy weird stuff that probably kids have no business finding, but we found them. We found it on the internet, and total nerds and fat. I appreciate that word. I have an old song from like 2010 called "Indefatigable" with PH Fat, and indefatigable just means like without the ability to have fatigue. It's like the perseverance song about, but PH. So it was like a hip hop song about perseverance.
But it was like I was just gonna say, but it's like paying homage and paying like respect to the ones that came before you, because again these terms we can come up with as many different new terms for like how we describe and how we're like hip to like today's like sound and just the hip hop, but just paying homage and always knowing where it came from was just always like the goal. So yeah, that's really dope that you did something with the PH.
Yeah, I mean, I remember learning just the basics of hip hop from my buddy Ian Carroll in high school, who I was really had a pleasure to him to just kind of teach me. It's like, these are the elements of hip hop. This is, go back to the classics, go from the beginning. Where did they come from? Turntablism, MCing, graffiti and breakdance, right? And he just opened my eyes to sample based music, collage based music around finding old records and doing that. And then all of a sudden I looked at my grandpa's record collection a lot different. I'd be like, every time he'd play some old I'd just be like, whoa, dude, let's flip that
That's
for
crazy.
sure. And my grandpa would be like, what this he didn't even like bebop or whatever, you know. It was too, you know, he's just like 10 years, but 10 years of music that he preferred. But hip hop, you know, it's the voice. It's definitely like I think it's been the number one genre of music for I mean decades now. Been dominating,
Years, for sure,
dominating, the dominating thing, and globally too. That's the beautiful thing about it is it's truly is it's a folk art. I think like it's a art of the people. Like it gives voice to the people. Where it's just need a beat. You need some unique melodies or textures or things. A lot of times unique to the culture. Like you listen to some hip hop out of Mongolia, or you listen to some hip hop in South America, and they're using their instruments of their people, and coming up with brand new ways to tell their stories and stuff. So that's amazing that you had a group of people that had like-minded, and I think that's, I guess, a long way to point of what I was trying to say about my buddy was you truly are the summation of the people that you surround yourself with. And if you're surrounded with people that have the same goals and visions, if you could have been in a different spot and have those same aspirations, and your friends might be like, you want to do that? Yeah, good luck. Yeah. Or, you know, or poo-poo it, or be like, you're never going to make it. You're never going to do it. You know, you don't want, no one wants, that's not going to be conducive to you know, your individuality. Yeah. And that's why, you know, that's why it's important to have those groups of people. And I actually kind of a little envious of that too, because I had one buddy, but you know, having a whole group of artists at an early age, I was just doing art by myself.
I mean, don't get me wrong, you know, I will say this, you know, it's been a rocky ride, you know what I'm saying, but the beautiful thing is the people who are here are supposed to be here, you know what I'm saying? Like sometimes, you know, things don't work out, whether it's a song or feature or idea, you know, but you know, as long as people can, like, you know, separate respectfully instead of it being disrespectfully, you know, I think that's what makes you know, this whole growing as an artist like thing worth it. You know what I'm saying? We all have to learn from our, you know, our growth. You know what I'm saying? We are growing from things that happened in the past, things that's happening right now. Like, you know, even in this podcast, like we're speaking, but you know, we're probably learning on certain things that we can and can't say because we're sitting here being able to allow ourselves to grow. You know what I'm saying? So,
no doubt.
You know, just as long as we're like willing to grow as human beings, you know what I'm saying? That's what make doing music and, you know, separating, you know, sometimes, you know, I guess like the Band-Aid that people don't rip off when you kind of leave those relationships in the past, you know?
No doubt. Yeah. Let old acquaintance be forgot. Yeah, I think that's a good point. A lot of energy with groups that, you know, group dynamics also can, you know, be more complex and more troublesome, especially when you're young and people grow so much. Yeah. So like, you know, people are on different paths and trajectories and stuff. And, so I guess that just kind of leads me to the question of why, and maybe it's coming back, and I'm sure there's a few that we could all name and stuff, but what do you think, from your understanding, like what as a solo performer for the most part, right? The solo rapper and singer and performer, like what are the like why or what you think moved from being like the Fat Boys of a group and always being groups of rappers and groups of people together, turntablists, DJs, or like the Wu-Tang, of course, you know, legendary group, all the legendary groups of the 90s and even into the early 20s. And I know there's plenty now, but like I definitely feel like the chart toppers, the big public image, they're all solo. Mm-hmm. And why do you have any speculation?
Well, I guess I can say as creators, I feel like we all are very selfish of our art. Like, even, you know, having this conversation right now, like, I know that I can legit, if I heard a beat right now that I really enjoyed and really liked, I'm going to feel like I can give my all to that beat and really lay my idea down on that beat and not want to share it most of the time. But I think, you know, it's not more so because, and this could be different for other people who feel like they are hit makers and stuff, right? But maybe I might feel like I can do what I want to do with that and nobody can do what I can do better, you know? And so we kind of, as creatives, are, again, like I said, very, you know, aggressive when it comes to being self-defensive of our art. And when we put it out, we kind of want, you know, to spearhead, you know, the vision of it and kind of be like, all right, now put this out, right? And this is what I planned on doing with the art, and you know, I didn't want anybody else to have any ownership of what I had going on. Right. You know, so when artists you do see are like charting and having all this success and like streaming really good and touring really good and very, very successful images in like the music community, I just personally believe it's because, you know, they have a team behind them, of course, you know what I'm saying, marketing team, PR team, all that. But I just feel like a lot of people just usually want the success on their own type of thing. But like you was hinting to not too long ago, just a few seconds ago, you know, there is a sense of artists who are wanting to come together as a group, who are wanting to you know, push each other and all share the spotlight, because a lot of us don't really have too much of a ego that needs to be in check. I love my group, and I, you know, will definitely share the spotlight with them as well. I know that we're all working hard on everything as well, as far as the music, the image, the sound, and that's going to be a really dope thing happening for us in 2023. So I'm just very active because I know, you know, where I want to go and how I want to be able to present certain things for, I guess, my own personal music and my own personal brand. But that's definitely not to confuse that I'm not, you know, supportive of my group or supportive of my friends. Like, I support all of them wholeheartedly, and you know, I would love to see them, you know, and all of us, you know, get the deserved shine that we all, you know, respect. What I respect, but deserve. That's, I'm sorry.
Hell yeah! Sounds like you got a Fat Nerd Records show at Tube Studios.
Hey man, that and speaking about that, I know that, you know, I want to, you know, let me just go ahead and edit this in. We have a upcoming show, I believe, in like May. So more information will be updated on that.
Hell yeah.
And
Venue? Do you know the venue? Can you not say?
no, we can't say anything
All
yet.
right,
I just want to let you guys know
I
in
just wanna
May,
know.
Fat Nerd Records will be performing at a show, and it's going to be a really dope show. And I have a interview on 101.7 radio March 9th. And it's March 9th, I believe, and I'll be bringing the gang on the radio
Nice.
to freestyle. So
Hell, oh, nice.
this will be dope.
Love that.
Milwaukee as well, 101.7 The Truth. Go check them out.
I hope they get that on video.
Yeah, hey, that's gonna be fire.
So yeah, so those are some of the best, some of the most epic freestyles are on radio shows. I feel like I see videos of that. You know, some of they feel off the cuff. I don't. That's a good question. How much of freestyle, in your opinion, like, do you think are, how much is premeditated? How much is things in the chamber ready to go? Maybe I'm sure it varies from place to place, but for a person says freestyle, or maybe, you know, it's tough to know because if you look on a video and it says freestyles, right? But
Right.
who put that title? Was it the actual people making it, or was it just a clip or whatever? What do you like? Freestyle is something I've dabbled in a little bit. When I was much younger, I would do things off the cuff.
Yeah.
I can, once I warm up a little bit, I can start to do things, but I can only do like 2 or 3 sentences at a time, and then I'm like blank. And I know it's a thing you gotta just really practice, but like, how much of freestyle is like legit freestyle, and what does that even mean? That's legit freestyle. What are your thoughts on that?
I think it's really just about the art. I can't really, so I guess say too much without feeling like I'm giving away somebody's like jewels, right? But it's really up to the artists. It's really up to the creators to kind of give you guys this experience of music that you would never get probably while listening to the album, or probably while listening to a live show, or maybe when you're at a live show and you do get this, So I think it's just an organized amount of ideas that's just used in a way where the fans appreciate it. They may appreciate it because they're giving it to people to experience it in the way, again, like never felt. And I think that's just what, the freestyling videos, or the freestyling on the songs, or just the word freestyling when it comes to a lot of the rap that you see and hear people do really is. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I think
I guess,
everybody go
yeah.
about it different,
I guess that was my question. Yeah, how much is like full improv? How much of it is improvisation? Obviously, improv people that I know that play piano or guitar or whatever, they already have all their scales memorized. They have they have the changes that they already know, and then they just let it rip.
Now that again, it goes back to, like you said, how much is improv, or again, that's not for me to give you. That's for you as the fan to be like, damn, okay, he just said something crazy, right? Maybe he performs or she performs that way on an album or verse, a feature. It's really up to what they want to do. Again, they can go off the top of the head and give you something that you feel like is like second nature to them. Maybe they could have wrote it. But again, that'd be me giving some jewels away to like what some of these artists do.
Sure.
And again, it's really personable. Like, artists really kind of fixate how they really perform when it comes to the quote unquote freestyle, and the way that they feel like they should perform to give the listeners and the fans a really good experience.
So I guess you could change a little bit. Just the hip hop scene. I guess zoom out a little bit from not just you and High School of the Arts, and now we got this group that you're part of as well, but
Yes,
maybe
sir.
zoom out a little bit more to the whole Milwaukee scene in general, or for that maybe that you've been exposed to over the years.
Yeah.
And from my understanding, the Milwaukee hip hop scene has always been the most. Has the most numbers. It always is the most talked about. It's got the most. At least from my understanding, I know there are some decent folk groups and stuff that I know, like bluegrass and stuff that kill it, and they tour and stuff, and that's definitely a scene. But I think it's when you look at the actual numbers
Yep.
of like global numbers and Spotify numbers and fans and all that stuff, hip hop is definitely in Milwaukee is the top genre. I think there's like there's like if you they're a good chunk of the top. Let's just say.
Yeah,
A
I was
good
gonna say
chunk.
I was just I met with a lady named Emily White, and she was actually telling me she's the organizer of the I Voted Fest, and she was actually telling me she was putting together the fest, and there's a way that you can look up the top
Chart metric.
Right, that app, yeah.
Chart
And
metric.
she
Yeah.
said actually she was surprised it wasn't even hip hop.
It
She
wasn't.
said it was I think she said it was like a folk or a bluegrass band or so. I think she said one or two, but she literally just said this, and I was kind of surprised because I'm like, you never know enough. And with that being like a way to kind of like find out what more is happening here, she was saying like they were killing it on the Spotify like streaming like charts here, and I was just like, wow, like you just never know what's really available in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. But back to your question about the hip hop music and stuff here, yeah, it's definitely a very diverse crowd of artists and hip hop artists and like music lovers here. Like I consider myself an alternative hip hop artist, right? You can see me on a lot of different mixed genre builds. I'm very, I guess not traditionally hip hop, but I do a lot of traditional hip hop music and different sounds. But yeah, there's a lot of the slap rapping music here. There's a lot of R&B. Well, there's not a whole lot of R&B, but it can definitely potentially get a lot more expansive. A lot of rap, a lot of hip hop. It's just a mixture for specific taste, I guess.
Yeah, and that's a good point on Chartmetric. Actually, I could just plug it because I brought it up. But Chartmetric, I had a podcast, a part of Chartmetric, and they wrote a whole blog post about me.
Fire.
And so people can check that out on my website, color.com/EPK. How to be a successful musician with color.
Mm-hmm.
Chartmetric, gotta plug in. And Emily White does great work. Yeah, I mean, so to her point about the top, yeah, there could be the top streaming artists, but when I would guess I was speaking to more of the top 10, top 15, like there's some breakout stars and stuff through the years that we've seen, the ones that we know that come through Milwaukee and they break out, yes, and they go like the stories at least that I've heard are usually hip hop related people and I think that goes to the early point of like, all right, what's the dominant genre period, right? Mm-hmm. So like that's probably where the money is, right? Where people are ready, they're ready to invest in some new artists, they're ready to like, mold them into their record labels or whatever it might be. So yes, I guess that is interesting, the distinction between an alternative rapper, because genres have always been a tough thing for me, especially when there's so many subgenres, right? And hip hop is such a big term, like a big blanket for so much. Mm-hmm. So much. It's just expansive everywhere now. Now it's just like, well, does it have a 909 or does it have a breakbeat? It's hip hop, or there's such the fine line between hip hop and electronic music now. Like, what distinguishes the styles and all that stuff everything becomes very blurry. And I've always had a hard time doing that. And so I would even, say like, okay, well, if alternative kind of is just an encompassing thing to be like, well, it's not these particular things. It's this, and I hear that with comics too. Mm-hmm. They call themselves alternative comics. And it's kind of like it's a word. It's a thing where you just can't put your finger on it. Really, it's just like a new wave of new styles.
Yeah.
And the only way you can say is just alternative, because it's like, when you look at a period of history 20 years ago, you'd be like, that's this era. But when you're in that time, you're not like, like when they were in the First World War, they're like, this is the Great War. They were like, this is gonna be the war to end all wars. Mm-hmm. But in reality, there was plenty more wars after that. And everyone looks at that as, World War One. If you get my analogy.
No, I get what you're saying. I mean, and then also to even to speak on that, like, I mean, I could consider myself also just a rapper too. I mean, I think maybe it is just the title and the subgenre of music, because, you know, in a sense, somebody could probably hear my music and probably be like, yeah, you don't really make too much alternative for you to be alternative rap, right? But at the same time, like, I think it's just all like subjective. Like, I feel like I'm, you know, not the norm when it comes to a lot of stuff around me here. But at the same time, you know, I could be, and I'm just overthinking the type of music I'm making, you know, and, you know,
That's why those labels can be, they're just kind of silly sometimes.
Yeah, you know, so it's just, I guess it's just really just whatever you consider yourself. But, you know, society does a thing with finding a way to put you in whatever box or just subgenre that you should be in, I guess.
Yeah, very true. Society is shit. It should be ended. No, it shouldn't be ended. We have to live in society. I'm just kidding. But what I'm getting at is I'm just listening to, thinking back to when I was in high school reading Ralph Waldo Emerson. He had something there like, yeah, society is poison. Do you have to trust? Like, it's not like on purpose. It's like, this is the only way that we can work together. Yeah. But you have to resist the temptations of society. Is, I guess, the point, right? Mm-hmm. You have to resist those temptations of like conforming, right? Conforming to for the sake of, trying to belong, or you want to just feel like you fit in, or just get these kind of cheap, cheap is maybe not right, but like in more instant gratification and easier. It's an easier path you can think, but in the long run, I think like following the voice of your own, drummer and your own beat, in your own heartbeat of like, all right, this is trusting your instincts, sometimes making the hard decisions, sometimes leaving old friends behind, sometimes, cutting people out of your life, whatever it might be, or bringing new people, obviously, and then bringing new people in that can lift you up, that might like, if you don't, for the folks that don't have people around them that are supporting them, like I think about that all the time, about like the only way that I was a musician is because I had some aunts and uncles that were playing music when I was a kid, and like I knew that there was I knew it was a thing. I knew you could do that. Yeah. Whereas I would say, oh, I want to be a musician. I say that to some people in high school and college, and they'd be like, why? That doesn't make that doesn't make any sense. Like what that they'd be like, oh well that. So I'm not going to tell anybody. How about that? Just gonna do my thing. Yeah. Live on the internet.
It's just funny because I feel like I heard that same response in different ways before. So it's kind of funny that that same conversation exists in different.
Even the girls, the ladies, sometimes it can be good and bad. Yeah. It's like, oh yeah, you're a musician. Oh, that's cool. But then it's like, oh, you're a musician. Okay, well, guess you're not gonna be faithful. I guess I can't trust you.
Hey,
guess. Oh yeah, who's gonna take care of the kids when you're on tour? All that stuff. like we don't even have any. We've just been dating for a little bit. What are you talking about, kids? Come on, get out of here. But no, there's a stigma. Is what I'm trying to say. Yeah. There's a stigma that it's poor. You're poor. You're like all that type of stuff, and unfaithful, all those types of things. I didn't even understand it. I just loved music, and it's just from my heart. And I'm like, I've come from a more conservative family, like, you know what I mean? Like I'm in that regard, like, and so it was always shocking to me, people's reaction. I've learned that the hard way. Obviously, I'm sharing some of it, but like some of the pain. But like I learned that the hard way of like, oh wait, there is this stigma. There is this thing that people have where it's like. There's that, but then there's also the nice parts where it's like people treat you like a unicorn sometimes. Be like, oh my God, you play music? Oh my God, you're a rapper? Oh my God. And be like, yeah, no big deal. That's
dope though.
No big deal.
Right. And as you
just following my heart, no big deal.
You should be very humble. We got to
exactly.
Remain humble. If you're not humble, I mean, of course, you want to like appreciate those moments, because those are the moments that continue to keep you going and
for real,
inspire you. But just got to remain humble and just know when to let the ego take over and when to humble it,
Yeah, some days you're going to be depressed and cast down, and some days you're going to be lifted up, and you just got to accept that as the day and the fate and just keep continuing, because it's, for all the musicians out there and all this stuff, it's like, it's possible. And it's more possible, I think, now than ever, with the way that we're all connected and the way we can distribute music and the way to do I think there's way more resources and lower barriers of entry. Like people don't even need to, back in the day, you need some really expensive equipment. You need to be trained by all these people. Like you need all this stuff and it's just a struggle to even, like, all the people that I know that are like amazing violin players or cello players or whatever, like they end up just playing with the bluegrass bands. You know what I mean? Because that's the stuff that's gonna make them money, and you're not waiting in rehearsals. Like orchestra rehearsals will take, like you'll be sitting there for hours waiting for things, and it's just and you're getting paid like barely anything.
That's crazy.
And so it's just, it's a struggle for a lot of folks, for sure. That's why is there any sort of music or art business or like management or any of that type of stuff at High School of the Arts? Do they prepare anyone that way?
Well, it's been a long time, but I don't believe they have any artist
do that.
like management. That would be crazy, honestly, to try to.
We
like,
really
find a way
need
to
that in Milwaukee, man.
that, but I don't think they do any artist management or like artist business class. I don't even, to be completely honest, I don't even believe like it's the same as it was when I was in high school. Like I think the arts program and a lot of arts programs for schools kind of it became less of the focus, and they've been focusing more on the academics of like students needing to basically like have a certain GPA and stuff to try to get into colleges, because I feel like
even at High School of the Arts, they cut the arts?
Well, they ain't cut the arts, but I think they have slowly begun to start.
Yeah, I mean, it's a struggle for everyone, right? Yeah, like
yeah. And like I said, I think it's just more so because they just want to focus on the academics. So I know that at the time they were, when I was going to the arts, I was a creative writing major, and that major was threatened in a sense to be cut out from the school's programming. Yeah, it's just a lot, you know what I'm saying? But it all, I guess, goes back to what people of society at today's time, and I guess in Milwaukee public schools consider to be important for the kids. Is that extra program helping them stay distracted and out of the streets or staying them on a steady path more important than trying to just be like the most smartest like kid in the world and going and maybe getting that bachelor's degree or that doctorate, you know what I'm saying? Or is being able to,
how many musicians are getting their bachelors and like being 60, you know what I mean though? Like actually, I don't know, or artists, I mean they do.
I've never graduated.
Yeah, I feel like it's a business at this point where it's like, unless you're going into the orchestra,
right,
or unless you're going into, I don't know, it's tough. I mean, it's tough to say nowadays. Obviously, I'm not discouraging anyone to do any secondary education, but with the price tag, the price tag is just insane. It's just out of control.
Definitely, if you plan on going and getting your doctorate and everything, and this is definitely not me saying don't do it. Go do that. Pursue your dream. Pursue your careers. Go be a successful just person in society, because at the end of the day, we got to leave something for the next generation, and you got to do something for yourself at some point. But again, don't be afraid to also say, fuck that. I'm about to do what I love doing and chase that. But
yeah, imagine if you had a loan for music as opposed to a loan for school that the government gave. You know what I mean? Like that loan just going straight to the administrator, just going straight to like, obviously I'm sure some of it goes to the teachers and all that type of stuff, but like a lot of that, I mean, I'm not, the Wisconsin idea and the idea of like secondary education, I think it's like super sacred and a great thing, but just these prices are just insane. Like I think they've gone up like 10,000% in the last decade or something. It's just out of control, where it's just like, unless you're going into a STEM field like math or science or engineering, or you're like gonna be a doctor or something, like you're gonna get your money back that way for sure. And that's an industry that you have to be licensed, you have to be like a thing. But if you're going into like to become a musician, if you spend those 4 years, you spend that time. At least I look back now, like thinking about how hard I'm grinding now, and thinking about like a lot of time I wasted in my undergrad, and be like, whoa, what if I would have been where I am now? Obviously, woulda, shoulda, coulda, and stuff. But like, I just think about that for the next generation. Like you're saying, people that are like maybe on the fence, like, I don't know. I know I'm just going to screw off if I go to college. I know that. And I'm here half already in a business, and I'm already making some money. Maybe I should try full the time and do that. It's worth the risk. That's the time to do it when you're young too, to just take the risk on it. And
because you can't properly teach somebody how to take a risk. They have to take it and just learn on their own.
Yeah.
Which is dope. And it's scary, but the ones who usually know that that's what it takes, they usually end up where they need to be most of the time.
And don't you think music performing, I think, is a good practice of that? Failing constantly.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
That's what I see. Like when I'm performing, like, well, that was terrible. And I'll just go about my day, and people be like, "That was great." I'll be like, "Wow, you're completely clueless," but thank you. But I mean, obviously your own worst critic and
Right.
your higher standard, and I always try to, you always could be better. But the point being, I think I've learned over the years of prep. I think that the performing has taught me subconsciously, and that's brought into other areas of my life of allowing myself to fail in the open, out in the open, in front of everyone. Be like, here I am, I'm trying. And and it might be good, and when you do it enough, it gets better, and your worst is still better than a lot of people's bests, and obviously some other people's worst might be better than your best, and you just kind of keep, or your worst tomorrow could be better. That's a better way to do it, is always compare yourself to yourself. Like someone was telling me this the other day about this. He has this rocking chair visualization. He calls it like this rocking chair. I forget what it's called. Rocking chair vision or something, where he every day he'll like imagine himself as an old man in a rocking chair, telling him all the stories of like what he did in his life.
Yeah.
And that, like, is that old man telling me some really dope things? Did I leave a legacy? If when he's gone, is the world gonna feel it? Those types of things where it's like, man, that's those are the people to compare yourself as, like, because obviously everyone's different. You can try to compare yourself to some huge pop star where their parents were in Hollywood and their grandparents were in Hollywood, and all of a sudden they can't, whoa, they became Grammy winners or whatever. It's like out of one year they came out of nowhere. It's like, oh, yeah, it's not the same as a person on the north side of Milwaukee, like just trying to, they don't have all those connections. I mean, Milwaukee, like kind of going to that, we were mentioning this a little bit earlier about feeling, and it's been like this for a while, but I do think I was just going to say, like, I've heard this from other generations too, that like, oh yeah, Milwaukee's always on the up and up. It's always upcoming. But I think there's been actual data and precedent to think that it's actually growing now, because in terms of actual money that's been coming in. New venue spaces. We got the Deer District. We got the Brewery District. Half of Water Street is brand new. All of Walker's Point is like almost all developed. It's like almost all done.
Yes, sir.
Like it's like almost full. And these things people are moving in. They're coming. There's the culinary scene is exploding. There's new breweries every other freaking year.
Every year, right?
Like there's a brand new one. But like, oh yeah, like what the?
They love beer here, man.
That's for sure, yeah.
But no, to speak on that though, I think that phrase that Milwaukee is on the up and up. I think we currently are where we were saying for years. I think where everybody's coming here and investing in the city, hopefully all for good reasons, right? Positive reasons, especially for local artists. There are more opportunities and more ways we can become looked at. There's a lot of hip hop or rap artists, street artists going viral for dances and songs and stuff on TikTok, and we just have all of these different avenues now where again it wasn't okay, you're not really able to get this access to this, or now it's like, oh, okay, well, here's our arms, we're open to allowing these opportunities. There's more bigger artists doing shows at like spots at like Cactus Club and at spots like the Cooperage and all these different, what I'm saying, like they're coming, or like Collectivo Backroom, like they're coming to Milwaukee and and with them not preferably always playing the rave, and just not no disrespect to the rave or any other spot, but with them not doing the rave and other spots that's like recurring, like you get like a show at the Pfizer Forum from an artist that you were waiting to see for so long,
right.
Or you get a show at the rave from an artist that you haven't seen in maybe a couple of years and you're happy they're back, or you get a show at Cactus Club where it's more intimate and personable, but they're doing really good ticket sales or selling out, where there's a good crowd and they're a really good responsive crowd, and these artists are like, man, I didn't know Milwaukee had something like this. Like, I'm coming back to this spot when I get a chance. So I think we are where the up and up, or oh man, Milwaukee's gonna come up. I think we are where that phrase has been trying to get us for so long, and now it's about how do we sustain that, the longevity in the next couple of years of where it can grow and go.
Well, I have to say I have been spending these last couple of years more immersed in the like startup world of like tech and business and like venture capitals and stuff. And there are not just in Milwaukee, not just in the music, not just in the arts, but on the sectors all across the city. There are people that are showing up and taking some leadership, and I think that's really what it's gonna take, is some real leadership for this stuff to happen. And I do think that a lot of it's happened naturally to a degree with like maybe people are just getting sick of Chicago. The prices are so freaking crazy. You know, the corruption. Obviously, there's no shortage of corruption here. You know, but at least like there, it's just a whole grand. You know, it's been like that for quite some time, and like notorious, very notorious. I mean, no, just we are from there's a fun rivalry. But I was just in Illinois earlier. I was just in Illinois today, so I had to pay 2 tolls. But anyway, yeah, I think I really do feel it different because you can see it. I mean, 10 years ago, half these buildings didn't exist. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I don't. It's just crazy. And to your point, you're talking about the rave, and we got a new like a Live Nation thing coming right by the Fiserv. Yeah, like right down there, right, freaking right there. There's gonna be another big venue, like right next to Turner and the Fiserv and stuff. And so they're gonna be bringing in some of those acts that might have gone to Madison. Yep. That are gonna be coming here instead. But I mean, Live Nation also owns the ones in Madison. So I'm sure they're gonna. The point is, there's another player, and even though it is part of the oligopoly, and like it's I don't know how much. It's really just going to be fighting between all the different big acts, to play there. But I would like to think that could bring some more hype. That could bring some more. Hey, we need an act, because this happens. We're risking on this, maybe this up and coming artist. We just need another 30, 50 tickets. Mm-hmm. Let's get a local person to come and just bring 30, 50 people. As they should. Happens all the time. As they should. Happens all the time. But it doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. I should say happens all the time, but it happens enough to to expect that it should be the case. I mean, right. Even at least for Pabst Turner Group and all that stuff, I know that they'll do that. But that comes to having a good relationship and a good feeder system into that, and like real channels for people to be discovered, to be known by the Milwaukee scene, and know that. And I think that is the real change, is when the culture shifts towards looking inward, being like, are we an artist city? Are we a musician? Can we be a city that can have people that can be nationally known, internationally known? And I think, and this is something, I don't know, you guys, maybe one day we can go and just do some like campus interviews, be like, what's your favorite local person? Just do those things. That'd be dope. And be like, and see if they say, and see how many people say, I don't know. Never heard of anyone. No, I have no. Like I'm interested to see what people say, because I feel like I'll ask random people like, yeah, do you go to any local music? They'll be like, what? But there are people that do. I'm not trying to say that Milwaukee isn't filled with people that do love and support local music. Yeah. That's there. But when you look at Portland, like I booked a show in Portland during COVID. It got canceled up. But dude, there was like hundreds and hundreds of bands. Like dozens and dozens of venues, like just everywhere. And Portland is smaller than Milwaukee. Like they have they're known as like an art city with like, indie, I don't know, like indie rock, groups and stuff, and all these things that people that do nationally touring, they international touring and stuff. And, I think it's very obviously possible. Even like Nashville isn't that big either, it's not that crazy. So it's not out of the. I mean, even you look at us like Minneapolis. Minneapolis, I would argue, has a stronger, more mature music scene that like has a little bit more of a reach nationally. Even despite the fact we're right next to Chicago, which I think is bizarre, because I don't know about you, but the feelings that I've heard from folks is that it's very difficult, or like intimidating at the very least, and like no response, or very hard at the very most, to get a gig in Chicago, or like to even go down to Chicago, despite the fact that we're right there. I don't know how much. Do you have any experience with that,
I don't think I've ever had a bad experience trying to book a show out there. No? Okay. I think it's really just about meeting people and just really having those relationships. Like,
maybe I'm just closed-minded.
I mean, not really.
I haven't really asked.
Because I even heard Chicagoans say like it's very
It's competitive, yeah.
Competitive, very closed off, but I mean, let's be honest. What city doesn't say that about their city unless they're really like all like in the soil,
Right.
promoting all the artists there?
You got to
like,
know the people. You got to
you
know.
know,
Yeah,
like-
it's just like everywhere else. You just got to know the people. You got to know the venues. You got to know all that stuff.
You gotta do half the job. Half the job is you being an artist. The other half is building a team. Going and networking, meeting more people, going out to shows, being more than just yourself or about yourself. It's just a lot of different things that play a part of where you can go in life, but and especially as an artist. But I mean, you get it.
Yeah. So tell me a bit about. We were talking a little bit before we went live. A little bit. So I was pleased to hear you got a lot of cool shit coming out down these next couple of months and doing some awesome things. Mind just plugging all the stuff that you're doing? You got a new album going on a tour?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So my new album, Nostalgia Everclear, is dropping March 17th. I'll start tour in Texas. So I'll be out there, and then I'll be like on the road, hopefully for like half a month. So I mean, it'll go from a span of a month from March 15th to like April 15th is when I'll end tour. But probably like the week after this interview drops, I'll be most likely dropping the tour day flyers. Venues will be posting up ticket sales for certain venue spots and stuff, and it'll be a really dope turnout. This is like the first actual official tour that I'm actually doing, like where I went and got PR like together. Still got to reach out to some publications to actually write articles and stuff about it. But I got interviews lined up. The PR is pretty much good. The music is sounding really good, and I got some really really dope surprises for the rest of the year for everybody. So I hope everybody is like expecting a really good turnout for my next body of work and my next sound. And it's gonna be a really dope 2023 for me and the group.
Hell yeah! And so that album, do you have a date?
It'd be March 17th.
That's the date. Okay.
Yeah, March 17th is the day. It's gonna be like on all streaming platforms. It's gonna be out everywhere.
What's the name of the album?
Nostalgia Everclear.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
how many songs?
It's kind of between. I'm kind of debating right now where if I want to do like 10 to 12 songs. I wanted to kind of feel like a album, feel kind of full, kind of feel like big, but it's between 10 and 12 right now.
Hell yeah! If I have any, if I may suggest, part of a strategy what I've been doing lately is to Spotify, at least for a Spotify release, with one song per month release. It's working all this time on each song. Spotify will really like it if you do it. It's obviously a completely different strategy that's coming out soon. I'm not trying to, undermine the strategy that you got. But for me, doing that because every time, the reason why it's the case is because every time you can pitch it to Spotify to be on a playlist, yep. and every song, whoever it is that may be already following, or they put them on algorithmic playlists too. Every the first Friday after it's released, it goes on these algorithmic playlists, Discover Weekly,
yep.
and all these types of things. So that way, because I've done it in the past where I spend a fucking long time making all this music and I just love it, and I go, all right, which is the single? And I do the single first. That one gets a big bump, and then I release the whole album, and only one of those will get a bump, and then the rest of the songs don't get any bump.
Yeah.
And so the idea is all right, well, at least you get all these times to train it. And I don't necessarily I'm an album guy. I've always made albums, and that's the way I love it. I would release it on my website usually. Besides this last year was a little different, but I would always with last year I would do that one. I started just doing it all right, well, I'll do 4. And then after that, I was like, oh shit. Well, every time I just do one by itself, it did significantly better of people listening right out the gate. And it's more opportunities to market the whole album. So then it can become, that can become a whole year of promo.
Yeah.
Be just a suggestion for people out there too that are thinking, I don't know how long this will be or how long this, I'm not saying change your, if people want to just release their album, but I just know people that have spent years and years and years and years working on beautiful, beautiful art. And then they have this big, they have this one day everything gets released, and then they're kind of back to square one.
Yeah.
Where it's like, okay, the like kind of just building up to it, having one by one, giving songs by song can be an interesting way to do it, at least. And then each of those songs could, can be pushed for their own PR, right?
Mm-hmm.
A whole, there's some great local like breaking and entering.
Yep.
You send them that, they'll write up anything that's solid, that especially folks that they know and people that they support, but they're super solid with I'd recommend that to any indie artists in Milwaukee or even the surrounding area.
Shout out to breaking and entering.
Yeah, shouts out to them. They're Alan and Ben and stuff, like they're dedicated to doing that. And I use for my album, I use Ben's quote. I just put it on everything, so it's valuable. I tell every time I see him, I'll be like, thank you. You don't even, he's doing such a huge service to people to actually have a legitimate review of someone's song, like whether or not it's just a few sentences or a whole, breakdown of all the stuff. Like just a few sentences are huge, because then you have something to put on your press kit. You have something to do. But so Mart, yeah, it's coming up then.
Yeah. Man. I'm delivering the first single from the album in the coming weeks. So definitely look forward to that. And the first visual for the album is coming out as well in the next couple of weeks. So it's gonna be really dope. Yeah.
And so, that can all just be found on Spotify, or
it'll be on Spotify, iTunes, Deezer, Tidal, anywhere you can stream music. As far as the streaming music websites, like the main sites. So YouTube, it'll be everywhere. You know what I'm saying? So you could definitely check that out.
That's all under NilexNile.
NilexNile, yes sir.
As one word, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Yeah, man, that's always a fun thing to release the music, and then when it's done, it's like it's a big relief. I don't know. Do you get sick of the songs when you're?
I mean, I don't want to say I'm sick of them, but I am tired of listening to them. Yes.
Yeah.
I'm very tired of listening to them.
You still love them, but
you want to make sure it's in the right sequence. You want to make sure you're saying the right stuff, saying it the right way. I'm definitely not tired of the process, but I'm getting very tired of just listening to them back to back before they're out. But what I do is when I usually drop it, or drop music or a body of work, I'll stop listening to it for a month. I'll promote it though, but I'll stop listening to it for a month, come back to it, and just kind of refine where I was inspired and the love for what I made. Because, again, when you listen to it so much, you can really fall out of love with something that you created. So I try to give it some space, give it some time to breathe, and just come back to it.
That's the way to do it. I was talking to someone earlier today about for mixing, about how important it is to take a step back and come back to it with fresh ears, because you don't know what you sometimes you can't see the forest through the trees. You know what I mean? Like you get lost in the sauce. You don't know what are you even hearing anymore after a while. And I mean, especially 10, 12 songs, like there's albums in the past where I'm, up to the last couple of weeks mixing, 6, 7 songs at a time, trying to make sense of them. Yeah. Trying to make sense. And by the end, I'm just so sick of them. Yeah. And then I don't really like them I get sick of them. I'll play them live. They're different when they're live. But then a year later, I look back and I'm like, I still hear some of the problems. The perfectionist. But they feel a little bit better. Then 2 years, then that shit's fucking amazing. Yeah. Then I'm like, damn, I was fucking genius. That was amazing. But because it's like I forgot because right now when I hear it, I still hear the last bits of mixing and fine tuning that I needed to do, and like it's not, that's not what you want to. You want to just like let go and just feel it. That intention that you put into it, all that stuff, that of making it, and not just the mixing and the hi-hat's too loud in that section. Damn it! Like I should have turned that down, or the bass is too low, or man, I hate the way I said that word. Or man, you know what I mean? Or I slurred that word. Or man, I was sick that day. And
it sounded very like cloggy. Yeah, I know what you mean.
That's happened a bunch of times. I was like, ooh, like man, damn. All right, so the next show, we're sharing the bill. We're playing at Company Brewing,
February 11th,
Saturday at Company. It's $10 cover. You just show up, and we also have the Cream City Players, which are some great dudes.
Yes, they are.
And
really dope.
Yeah, they're always playing some good stuff, in the Cream City. No, I know all the guys in them, and they're amazing, and play with them regularly throughout the years, more so. for regular for me at least. Tlaloc is becoming a. We'll get him on a color cast here.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't able to make this. I was trying to see if we could all be here, but he wasn't able to.
Fine.
He wasn't able to make it. He's always busy doing stuff. But we'll get a good time to come because he's really making a name for himself as a promoter and as a not just that, but man, the dude's just playing all over. He's hustling hard.
We played a couple of events together so far, so I'm really honored to have been able to meet him through my homie Colin Mitchell.
Colin's dope.
You know, and yeah, it's just really dope to meet, like I said, so many different people of different like walks of life here who are all like musicians. Like,
yeah,
well, I didn't go to school with neither one of them, but I know for a fact we have a really dope relationship because through the music, you know what I'm saying? So it's just really dope. Again, like I said, to be meeting so many people and everybody coming together for a specific purpose, like company brewing and things like that.
You're not playing with them, are you, on the gig?
I don't know. I don't believe that's the I don't believe that's
okay.
the yeah. I think they wanted me to. I think I was supposed to send music, but I think I'm gonna just instrumental gang it out. You know, like just play.
They're
music.
pretty good.
Oh, they're amazing.
You could just tell them a key. Obviously, you'd have to be a little freestyle, right? But like they're good. They're like I think I don't know if Peter's playing Peter Belmer, but he
the drummer.
He specializes in hip hop beats and stuff.
Yeah, he's dope.
And that'll be a fun. They'll have everyone dancing at the end. So I'm playing a duo with Tlaloc on bass.
Oh, fire.
I don't know if I think I'm gonna be bringing my I don't know I think I'm gonna bring my keyboard and play some beats and stuff on my sampler. I haven't practiced yet though, and it's already Wednesday, so.
Right, you got time.
Yeah, I got time. It's just we do improv.
Yeah.
Improv is fun. That's why you play with people that are good at improv. Easy. You could play a half hour. Like I've played with Peter. Well, not with Peter, but I've played with Tlaloc places where it's like 2.5 hours of music. We only have one rehearsal. We only have 6 songs that we know.
So like you said, improv, you're just sitting there.
Each song is now 25 minutes, baby. so it's like, all right, the chorus, back to the chorus. Oh nope, let's switch to the back to the verse, extended solo. Okay, drum solo. I also love storytelling. That's easy 15-20 minutes. I can just go off on that.
Yeah.
Not that that's only for those long gigs. When there's a half-hour gig, I have to be very, like, if I tell a story, I have to be very abridged and like have different versions of the storytelling. But let's see, how are we doing on time? Oh yeah, nice. Well, I mean, it's a good spot to. You want to share with us a little preview of what to expect on the show on Saturday? We got a song loaded up.
This is some unreleased that I'm going to be performing.
Unreleased?
Today. It is unreleased. This is going to be
this
potentially part of the album. Yeah, so it's going to be pretty fire.
Wow.
This what I'm going to be performing is titled Nostalgia, so I hope you guys like it.
All right, cool. So we'll load that up. I'll load it up right now, and we'll get the signal and we're ready to go. But yeah, man, we'll just do that, and we can just we can call it after that. But man, hey, thanks for coming through. I really appreciate having this opportunity to chat, and thanks for. I was like, everything finally came together to bring the Colorcast back because I miss it. I love chatting with people. It's super inspiring for me. Yeah. Like to just hear from like you were saying, you start talking, you start to feel different things, you start to see from different perspectives, you start to learn from other people, especially your peers in your own city.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if you can't work with the peers in your own city, then all right, we're good. All right, let's do it.
Yo, it's NilexNile, and I'm performing an unreleased joint off of my album titled Nostalgia. As a jit, we was living life total bliss on the block. We was got up by the kicks, had to watch for the switch. Slanging nickel down to the chicks, so how I can resist it. Keep eyes wide open, brand new motto. Keep chin up. Stuck to the mission. 4 of us toured in LA, Honda Civic. Dropped a mixtape trying to shape my existence. Pray for the day and the times I don't mention. Survival the fittest. Rap niggas like Ben Simmons. Shooting shots still hoping that they ain't right. Hella desperate, gotta do it for the fame, right? It's the same niggas lame, won't change, right? Had to be focused. Remember late nights, I was stressed to be chosen. Drinking hella smoking OG, it was potent. Living life in the fast lane, new motive. Breathe. Cause niggas on the block killed for the money tree. School of hard, we were knocking till the knuckles bleed. Ducking all the cops trapping in my dungarees. Black niggas standing tall till I'm underneath. Soul searching for my soul purpose, trying to apologize. I had to quit doubting myself. Sacrifices in the COVID crisis, tapping with my conscience. I was better in health. Make the odds break even, turning nothing into something to believe in. To give back to my fan, new meaning. Stay dreaming, I stay scheming. As a jit, we was living life total bliss on the block. We was got about the kicks, had to watch for the switch. Slinging nickel down to the cheeks on the hot can't resist. See the swine get inside the whole trip. Keep eyes wide open, brand new motto, bitch. Pop a light boy, keep chin up, keep chin up, keep chin up, keep chin up as a jit. We was living life total bliss on the block. We was got about the kicks, had to watch for the switch. Slinging nickel down to the cheeks on the hot can't resist. See the swine get inside the whole trip. Keep eyes wide open, brand new motto, bitch. Pop a light boy, keep chin up, keep chin up, keep chin up, keep chin up. On my pivot, I can go the distance, keep me sane. Will I be the difference? How I'm living, cycles bound to change. Do it for my name, more to gain. Real rap will remain. Will not be victim to fame. Will not be victim to fame. On my pivot, I can go the distance, keep me sane. Will I be the difference? How I'm living, cycles bound to change. Do it for my name, more to gain. Real rap will remain. Will not be victim to fame. Will not be victim to fame.
Yeah. Well, thanks so much. Oh, is this on? And that's that. Thanks so much. Now, man, I appreciate that for doing that. Yo, shouts out to Tube Studios for hosting this and stream this. We got people streaming, doing this thing. Colorcast number 38. We'll be back with another one coming soon. All right, y'all. Come out to Saturday to Company Brewing. See you at the show.